Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining me. This is your host, ID Jester. We're counting down the top 18 most powerful heroes in Marvel Heroes 2015. Last episode coming in at number 15 was Colossus. So let's look at hero number 14. The 14th most powerful hero in the game happens to be... Dun 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 dun. Where are you? There you are. Iron Man. So Iron Man comes in at number 14.
I was almost done with a new armor upgrade.
I love his voice acting. You really get the sense that this is Iron Man. I mean, if you wanted to play Iron Man from the movies to the comics or the books or whatever, this is the Iron Man. His powers is built exactly like you would think. He does some really good damage, and he has a lot of toggle switches. He actually has 1, 2, 3, 4 of them you can turn on and off. So really, you can fine tune your character. Do I want this power on? Do I want this power off? Because each one of these will give you different mechanics, whether it's turned on or turned off. So it gives you a lot of build variety. You can see right now I just turned all of them on because I find that a little easier for myself. But you can really fine-tune and figure out the best, most optimal way to, get the most out of your Iron Man. For me, he does really good damage, and I'm surprised he actually is up to number 14. I would think Iron Man would probably be in the top 10, but for some reason he just doesn't have that little kick, that little extra oomph that the top 10 heroes have. So it just puts him right outside the top 10 in number 14. His one-off power is it is very nice, very, very, very nice signature power. It only has a 20-second cooldown, which is huge. So every 20 seconds you're going to be doing 3 hits of 20 to 30, 200 to 300,000 points of damage. So basically, you're going to be doing 6 to 900,000 points of damage every 20 seconds. Now, that is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. There's a lot of heroes in the game that would love to have that ability, and they would, trade their lives to get that ability from Iron Man. Unfortunately, they don't have it, and Iron Man does. And this is kind of obviously the backbone of Iron Man, because it's his signature power. The fact that he has all these passive toggle on, toggle off powers kind of helps him, but it also kind of hurts him because you're putting a lot of points into all of these basically turn on, turn off switches, which doesn't give you a lot of points to put into actual powers. Now you can see we've maxed out our complete rank of powers here. He does have the arc reactor overload, which gives him a huge boost back into his suit power, which obviously we need to use because he is pretty spirit intense, and the ability to get that suit power back, almost half of it back every basically 9 seconds, not quite 9 seconds, is a huge, keeps him in the fight. All of his other attacks, the micro missiles, the wrist rockets, the missile salvos, and the Jericho bombardment are great. They just tend to do just slightly less damage than I would have liked. That's probably why he puts him at the top 14 as opposed to maybe the top 10. They just, because there are so many of them, you're doing, let's see here, there's, this is a area power damage. This one here is a missile salvo, and it's per missile. It looks like it sends out 6 homing missiles. This one here has a 4-second cooldown. It sends out how many missiles? A bunch of missiles or whatever. So because there's so many, each of them does just a little bit of damage, not much. But when you combine all these together, you combine his death from above, which is a great way to get around the battlefield, by the way. A great way to get around the battlefield, do some huge damage when you come crashing down. We can get some nice damage with this. These are pretty consistent. And then, of course, you throw in the one-off that happens every 20 seconds. It's just amazing. It really, he can do some serious damage. If you look at his actual stat line, you see stat-wise, not bad. Again, none of these heroes have patched, so some of these stats, obviously, we get a little bit fine-tuned on them. He is doing some physical and energy damage, so of course, the power cosmic. Power cosmic works great for him for that option to get those extra buffs, and of course, the power dupe works great for him as well because of that combination of multiple sources of power. Not bad there. Damage reduction 40% is not bad. And of course, that's not taking into consideration all of your defensive buffs from your turn on, turn off switches. But of course, the damage rating, 3,223. I mean, that is a huge, nice number. That is very, very good. And a lot of heroes would love to have the damage amount to be that much. Stat-wise, you see we're mostly doing, it looks like range damage about 43%. And of course, brutal strike rating about 43%. So stat line, we could probably work on that a little bit better to get him a little bit better that way. But even with these lowish kind of stat line numbers, he does a ton of damage. And I just think that getting him, even fine tune him even better, would put him just even more and more over the top. With damage. So he comes in at number 14, right behind Colossus there. At number 15, we have Iron Man. Yeah, overall, a really good hero to play. He's fun. His graphic effects are awesome. His voice acting is awesome. He pretty much, his default attack does some nice damage, but, it doesn't look like a lot, 10 to 15,000. But you're actually going to do an extra 10% per active toggle up, so we can have at least an extra 30% damage there. And then some attack speed bonus as well. So when you're not activating all your rocket salvos and your missiles and all that stuff, and you're not activating your one-off, you're basically using your repulsor barrage, as these are on cooldowns, jumping in from your death from above. You can do some serious damage. And with all those, like I said, with all those mechanics, with the turn on, turn off switches, you can really fine tune if you wanted to at the proper time. You could turn this one off, and then because some of these will give you, put cooldowns in some of the powers that you use based on whether this is on or off. So if you wanted to use this death from above all the time and not have to have a cooldown, you could toggle one of these off. I forget which one it is. I forget which one it is. One of these, anyways, I thought did that. Anyhow, fun hero to play. Very nice. He does have a little fly around, so, he can get around the battlefield. He does have a nice, kind of lunge around the battlefield power, which is nice. The best thing about this, actually, is he gets an extra 10% to his attack and move speed for 6 seconds. So you hyper velocity charge, get to an area, and for the first 6 seconds, your attack and move speed has a really nice little buff to it. So it's just little things like that that really kind of fine tune Iron Man into from maybe top 20 into the top 15, and now down to the top 14, because you just add in those little bonuses like that here and there, and they kind of all add up eventually. The arc reactor overload, where you get 40% of your spirit or suit power back every 9 seconds. So half your suit power, so you don't have to worry that much about running out of suit power or spirit, whatever you want to call it. Not only that, but it does a huge area of damage around you. So, I mean, that's a great combination. You have heroes in the game that have powers to get some spirit back, but they don't have the power, their little power doesn't do a whole bunch of energy damage as well. And some of them have a cooldown of 12 to 15 seconds. You just combine that, and you look at Iron Man's, and you go, okay, well, I can get 40% of my suit power back, and I can do a nice chunk of damage, and it's only 9 seconds. So, little things like that, the little things like the attack and move speed, there's just all these little tiny fine-tuned things for Iron Man that puts him in up at number 14 is the 14th most powerful hero in the game. So, Iron Man, great little hero to play, enjoyable, and like I said, there's just so many little fine-tuned things that you can do with him to really, kind of min-max him, make him the best you can. Again, just because he's number 14 doesn't mean that he can't be a very, very, very powerful hero. This is just my assessment of each hero based upon if they had all the heroes had the same items. I gave them all the same items. Which heroes would be the most powerful if you put them into a fight, and kind of which ones would come out on top. So Iron Man, obviously slightly stronger overall than, say, Colossus, but not quite as strong as number 13, which we will look at next time. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time as we look at the 13th most powerful hero in the game.